If you've been listening to the show for a while and dealing with IBD, you're no stranger to the fact that your doctors have been telling you that your life-altering bowel disease is unfixable, that it's just this permanent, lifelong condition with no explanation, and all you can do is accept the inevitable, which is a lifetime of drugs and surgery. But if this explanation never made sense to you, that's probably why you're here. This show is dedicated to proving to you that this doesn't have to be your life and that IBD is in fact reversible. There's so much more that can be done, and everything in the body happens as a result of a cause and effect reaction, especially inflammation. It's never random. Larissa was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2013, and it's only gotten worse for her since. She's tried all the typical medications, interventions, powerful immunosuppressives, and gotten nowhere. But she just got her colonoscopy report back, and her doctor's jaw was on the floor. Now, he certainly wasn't expecting it, but of course we were. All it took was 16 weeks in a program dedicated to finding and removing her root cause to begin reversing her disease. From a colon so severe she was on the brink of having it removed to having a near perfect colonoscopy report. And Larissa is joining us today to share her story and show us how she did it. Contrary to what your doctors told you, Crohn's and colitis are reversible. Now, I've helped hundreds of people reverse their bowel disease, and I'm here to help you do it too, because inflammation always has a root cause. We just have to find it. This is the Reversing Crohn's and Colitis Naturally podcast. Now, I do these live trainings in my Facebook group every single week and put the audios here for you to listen to. If you want to watch the video versions of these episodes, just click the link in the show notes to get access to our Facebook group and YouTube channel. And for weekly updates, information, tips, and tricks, you can sign up for our email list by clicking the link in the show notes below. Well, Larissa, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited about this. You know, the world is under the wrong impression about bowel disease. The world believes that it's this permanent, unfixable, nobody can do anything about it condition, and you are living, breathing, walking proof that this is a very reversible condition. And so I'm so excited that you're here. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and what's been going on here, just to share this message. Before we kick things off, can you just introduce yourself really quickly for us?
Yes, my name is Larissa Tassios. That's a mouthful of a name, but yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Larissa. Here's what I got a question for you. Can you walk me through what was going on in your situation, in this disease process you were facing? What was happening? What were you dealing with?
Like right when I was contacting you guys, I was in the bathroom 30 plus times a day. Lived my life in the bathroom. The pain was excruciating. It felt like I had squirrels in my intestines with razor blades for hands, just running around. It'd just be straight blood, straight mucus. The fatigue I had, I'd falling asleep while I was driving the car. I was absolutely miserable at my wit's end. And yeah, the pain, the joint pain, not being able to sleep. I just lived in the bathroom, and my quality of life sucked. I was just depressed, full of anxiety. Yeah, it was just horrible.
So you got this diagnosis of ulcerative colitis back in 2013. You've been dealing with, it's quite an analogy, squirrels with razor blades. That's something I'll never get out of my head, much to my detriment. But so you got this agonizing pain. We got blood, we got mucus, we have dozens of bowel movements every day, uncontrollable, chronic fatigue. What was the pain like? What were you dealing with? Was it debilitating? Were you able to work to live a normal life? What was it like?
No, it was that the last, I would say, year and a half of my life, it was debilitating. Laying on the bathroom floor, crying, in the fetal position. And it was so miserable. I love life. I'm not a depressive person by any means. I'm pretty active, but I was why am I even on this planet? It was just horrible. Yeah. I was debating on putting a TV in the bathroom at that point.
At least that's the worst thing you were debating. There are so many people out there that I see on a daily basis who are debating doing much worse things, when it feels like this is the rest of your life, when it feels like there's no other option, when it feels like you randomly wake up one day sick and your doctor goes, this is just going to be your life now. What hope is there when you're in this much agonizing pain? It doesn't leave you with very many options. And I think you've done an amazing job to this point, but I think it's that fervor for life that has really gotten you through this and gotten you to a position you're able to find a solution.
Yeah, I just was like, praying that there's like a better way. Cause like, I don't want to die, but like, that's what it felt. Every day felt like I was dying,
Yeah.
like literally.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get through and talk about the solution that you found here because this really helps set the stage for those who might be new to this, who might be wondering, is there hope? Maybe my case is too far gone. You were in a pretty severe situation. What were the conversations
Yeah, they
like
were
with your,
talking about,
yeah, that was actually, I was going to ask, the conversations with your doctor. What were those like?
oh, it was like last August, everything hit the fan. And, yeah, I spent like 8 days in the hospital, a couple other days here and there. And they were talking about, like maybe just removing my colon because the damage had spread all the way up past the sigmoid and over, and it was just like rapidly spreading. So they were talking about removing my colon, just because of the severity of, yeah, I was diagnosed severe. Like it went from mild, moderate to severe. They said like my CTs were scary. Like the other option was, well, we can try biologics and MP6s, which I do my own research. And I was like, you're not putting that crap in my body. That's like chemo drugs. I already got osteoporosis from steroids. So yeah, I was out of options,
Yeah,
basically.
that's serious. I mean, you've tried everything, every drug, every medication. It was so bad to the point where they said, hey, let's just cut the organ out of your body, and that's the best we can do.
Yeah. And I was debating on it for a minute because I just wanted it to be over with, but like, when you think, I'm not going to do that though. Like there has to be something else because like what's causing it? Like no one ever talked about what's causing it. Why is this happening? Why are my white blood cells going through the roof? Like the whys. It was always like, okay, well, take these pills and you can eat whatever you want. Which, if anybody has inflammatory bowel disease and is listening, that's a bunch of lies. You can't just, eat whatever you want. Just take the meds. So yeah, I just couldn't take those meds anymore.
Yeah. It's a hard place to be in, feeling like there are no options, like this thing is randomly got onto you for absolutely no reason. There's no explanation. And there's about 8 million other people in the world right now who are going through what you went through, but don't have to be anymore, which is why we're here. And I really appreciate you sharing your story. There's 8 million people. I've had people come to see us. I've had moms with 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds who are in so much pain and so sick. They can't go out and play. They can't walk. They're so sore. Their joints are so inflamed. They're limping around the house, up to 75-year-olds who just want their grandkids to sit on their lap. And it is the disease is getting worse, is getting more common. 35 years ago, there was 2 million people. Today, it's 8 million, give or take. And it is getting worse. But today, we're going to show them there's something more. And you've done it. You're living, breathing, walking proof. And this is very, very exciting. So here's what I want to sort of get to with you. Can you walk me through the last 16 weeks or so of this journey? You were at a place where it felt like squirrels with razor blades in your intestines, dozens of bowel movements a day, right at a point where it's borderline surgery. It was sort of a bottom of the barrel, like I might get this thing out or jump off a cliff. Like it's so severe. The quality of life is that severe. But you went through a process about 16 weeks. Were able to find this root cause, to explain finally what nobody explained, to show you like there's a reason why this is happening. And you were brave enough to take the plunge and say, give it a go. Let's see what happens. And we're here today. So walk me through what sort of happened these last 16 weeks with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw you guys, on Facebook, and a lot of times, like, I'm pretty skeptical about stuff because I've dumped so much money into programs and protocols and supplements. And like, but like when I was listening to it and I was like, something just resonated and I was like, okay. And then we had our little interview and I was actually in the toilet, I believe,
You were.
while
I
we were
remember
doing
that
our
very
intake
distinctly.
call.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was at. I was actually in the toilet while we're doing the intake call. But yeah, like, I walked into the program not sure like what to expect. Head full of knowledge, not knowing how to apply it or what to do. That's like the worst part. Like for me is like, I know all these things, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to begin. You got brain frogs, brain fog. It's kind of like that actually, so like, I did the intake process with you guys and like, just even that intake process alone, like talking and checking off like what these symptoms are, like light bulbs are going off. I'm like, oh, yeah, parasites. This looks like this might be parasitic. Like, just even alone in that, like, was so eye-opening and helpful, just answering the questions. Curtis is my coach. I love Curtis. He's great. We set up like our first call, and I got on those group calls, and every group call, it was like we talk about the symptoms, what's going on, and it is, you get like all this information, and I finally have someone that's able, like Jenga blocks, basically. Like I was just taking blocks out and stuff was coming down, but I had someone to show me, hey, we're going to take this block out, and then like the tower stays up perfect. So that was just like a relief in itself, that part, having someone to guide me. You guys were always available, like on call, because like anybody that suffered this type of illness, like your anxiety's through the roof. Like, what's this symptom? Oh, and like you guys were always there. Like I could like hit Curtis up on like WhatsApp or whatever, and he'd respond back. And like that was super comforting in itself. And everything was laid out. Like, here, these are the supplements that you will take. This is what time, like super simple for someone like me that overcomplicates everything. Like it just made the process super smooth and easy for me. So yeah, I started like doing the protocols, with like the parasite cleanses and everything. And even stuff I thought I was doing that was good for me. Like I was downing bone broth and I was making it myself, and they say that's like the best thing. Well, it wasn't for me. And you guys like, talking about like high histamine stuff. As soon as I took that out, my bowel movements improved probably like to half of what was going on, and I wouldn't have done that because I'm told that, like I said, all this information, not knowing what to do with it. Yeah. So like the weekly calls, just like talking and being able to like, just like say what's going on and being guided through it, like being heard, because my doctors aren't going to listen to me, and like the point is just like being heard and having like that compassion there as well, and that makes such a difference instead of being treated like a piece of meat going in and out of a doctor's office. I started seeing improvements within like the first month. I got up on my meds like right away because they weren't working. At that point I was on, I forget, one of them was Ulcerative, and they weren't working. And I got off the meds, and within a month, like I wasn't like 100% better, but I was starting to get formed bowel movements. And like I was telling someone, like, yeah, sure, like, is it like 100% easy? But it's 1,000% worth it, like. And that's okay. Like I was realizing too, like you guys are there for the bad days, and walking us through that, like explaining, just having everything laid out before me was like amazing. There's no way I would have been able to do this on my own. So, and as far as the protocols go, like that was the other thing too. Like I wasn't sure what to expect, but everything was like laid out for me too. So it just like helped with a lot of like anxiety. And then like so like I want to say this too about it. Like there's a whole the physical aspect of the protocols and everything, but you guys like, and like working with Curtis, it's more than that. You guys treat it like holistically, because it was like doing stuff spiritually, like mentally, for my mental health, like coming out of fight or flight, like addressing the whole person, which was absolutely amazing. Like not like, okay, we're just going to work on this and here's the supplements. Like, no, we're going to work on your mental health, anxiety, like all of that, like holistically, the whole person. That was amazing. Super grateful for that.
Everything is connected, and I'm so glad. Like we were working with Curtis, and something people don't often know. They see me on TV and my podcast and around, like, I want to work with Josh. I'm like, you guys should probably work with Curtis. Curtis has been my mentor for 6+ years now. He's incredible. Taught me so much of what I know, and he actually handles a lot of the really tricky, severe cases. He's absolutely incredible at this. And he identified one of your root causes being parasites. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, like what came out of me?
It's like a new movie, Alien vs. Predator 2024, bowel disease. It is wild to see some of the things. Let's talk about that. What came out of you?
Oh God, like stuff that I wasn't expecting. Like, like I always kind of assumed I had parasites because I got like EOE in the high eosinophil, whatever, those white blood cells. But like when it actually happens, you're like, whoa, what is happening? Yeah, like at night, like because you do it during the full moon, I guess when they're most active, and like, and I'm doing like these coffee enemas and stuff. And at night, I'd actually feel like a tingling sensation in my intestines and in like my rectum area. And the next day, like we talked about it, like I'm like going to the bathroom, and like I'm having normal bathrooms for the first time in like 3 years. Okay. And then this is so gross. I guess I'm in good company. I feel something, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I was like, looked down and it was this long, brown, ropey looking thing. I was like, oh, yep, that just came out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I saw it was like a science experiment, and I like experimenting on myself, like I'd see like these little almost look like little stones and like little white things. I guess it's like the candida I saw, but yeah, I saw a few times. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for. Like poop looks funny anyways, but then I was like, oh, they kind of float. That's different.
They're like ropey and stringy. It's almost like, if you compare a weird analogy, but compare like normal healthy stool to like meat, for example, but then the tendons and the ligaments, that's the parasite. It's this really stringy, tense, sort of almost crunchy in some ways. It's a horrific feeling. I remember my first parasite, and everybody remembers their first. It was it was so weird. And so walk me through this, because I know you had I talked to Curtis, and you went to go see your doctor recently. You went for a follow-up. You did a colonoscopy. Tell me about your first colonoscopy. Tell me about the story of going through your second and what he had to say about this whole thing.
Oh my God. So like, on my medical charts, it says like, against medical advice. And I'm like, so I'm that patient, whatever. But my newer guy, he's like, okay. So I'm like, I'm going in and get ready to go under. He walks in and goes, okay, might not wake up for anesthesia, blah, blah, all that. And then he's like, oh, so list of meds. Oh, you're not taking any. He goes, can't wait to see how this goes. Because prior to that, I had one in August and then in March, right before I started the program. And like my asshole, for better words, was literally on fire. It was like fire engine red, like bleeding. So he just was kind of like, okay, well, yeah, like we'll see. And then I was like, oh, and when I wake up, I got pictures to show you. And he's like, what? And so I came out of the anesthesia and I was a little loopy, and my poor dad's sitting in the corner of the room. And he's like, he actually like looked at me and he's like, I'm kind of speechless. He goes, I don't know what to say right now. He goes, I don't know what you're doing. He goes, but keep doing it. He goes, I was like, I'm in shock right now that this is what this looks like. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you to stop what you're doing. And then he's like, well, you could get back on mesalamine. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I didn't think so. And then I was like, but I got a surprise. Wait. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, you got to see the worms. And I'm like, still like loopy. I'm like, you got to see the worms I pooped out. My dad's over in the corner going, she's that one daughter that I have that, all the weird stuff happens to. And I showed him the pictures of what I had in my phone, and his mouth dropped. And he called the nurses over, and they're all looking at him, like shaking their head. They're like, how did this happen? Like, how would you have gotten that? I'm like, because we get them. I'm like a barefoot hippie. Like, I let my dog lick my face. Like,
Totally.
yeah. And so he was just like dumbfounded. I don't know if maybe it changed his whole trajectory, but I think his head blew up that day. And like, with what I was showing him. Cause like, yeah, he was like, you need to be on biologics surgery, blah, blah, blah. And I walk out of there, 16 weeks later from the last one, not on medication. Cause he literally told me the last time I saw him, if I don't take medication, like I'm going to get the C word. Your colon's going to collapse, all this horrible stuff. And then I'm walking out of there like, well, went different.
Did not see that one coming, did they? Very
No.
cool.
It was pretty cool. It felt good. It felt good to give it back to him. Like, yeah.
So, Larissa, here's my question for you. What are your symptoms now?
For the most part, like, I don't really have any. I'm still doing like what I need to do as far as protocols go and stuff. And that's like the one thing I was like trying to say or explain to people that ask me is like, I didn't get this overnight. It's not going away overnight. I've had this for however X many years diagnosed. I don't know how long it took me even to like get to the point where I'm at. And I'm not expecting a quick fix. Like, I feel better. Things are looking good, but I'm going to keep going because I'm so hopeful of just like being done with this at this point. So like my only like thing now is like I get tired every now and then, but that could be from anything. It could be from anything. And like, oh, and I forgot to even say like, so I got co-occurring whatever autoimmune, the EOE in my throat. All of a sudden I'm allergic to all these foods. Everything I eat, my throat closes up and I have to like puke at a restaurant in front of it. It's horrible. Really embarrassing. That has pretty much gone away. since this protocol too. And they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. I'm like, so I'm just supposed to choke every time I eat and not eat anything? Because apparently I'm allergic to cardboard, you know? So that's pretty much have resolved itself too. Like things are going pretty good. And I don't want to like stop what I'm doing. But yeah, maybe I'm tired every now and then. Yeah, I'm
Whatever.
still just cleaning up some mess.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so important that you have that recognition. This has been, you got diagnosed in 2013, and that's the diagnosis date, not to mention everything leading up to what issues you were having before it got so severe you finally got diagnosed. So would it be fair to say 15 years of ongoing?
Oh yeah, looking back now, I'm like, oh, I've had this for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, like I've always had like bowel problems.
Wow. So it's only been 4 months out of, say, 15 plus years. And I think that's the most important thing to recognize. I sort of talk about it like this. We're not magicians, right? We can't, we don't do anything the body's not doing on its own. We just facilitate the processes it's unable to do. We remove the thing that's keeping it there. For you, it was parasites and whatever else is causing your disease process. We remove them. The body heals you. It's inflamed anyway. It's already trying to heal you. It's just inflamed so long it's now breaking down. It's like taking a controlled burn to a brush versus having a forest fire that's catastrophic and burning a country. It's kind of what's going on. And so I talk about it this way. If we are surgeons, when you jump off the third-story roof, having a party, drank too much, and you break your leg in 4 different places. My job, I'm not going to wave my hands hocus pocus, you're going to walk the next day. I go in as a surgeon. My job would be to put pins and needles and screws and get your bone reset, get you casted, and get you to a place your body heals. Now you can walk around the block. You have to go to physiotherapy and retrain the muscles and rebuild. You've gotten this far. There's more to do, yes, but that's the ongoing work of continuing to give your body the tools and resources it needs to do the job it's been trying to do for 15 years while you've been inflamed. But now you're here. Guys, the number one thing listening that I want you to keep in mind, inflammation is never, ever, 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 emphasis on the ever, random. Never. It's always for a reason. And you went through that and you are living, walking, breathing proof that your GI specialist, his nurses, the whole Western medical system just doesn't recognize that they're taught that disease is an innate part of your biology. Like it's just part of you and you got this because it's bad luck or God plays favorites or it's just genetic or whatever it is. But it's not, and you're proving that. Your scopes have shown. You got what, one little speck left now after 16 weeks from a colon that was about to be removed? That's so powerful.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like I like cry every day. Like I'm so freaking grateful because like I really wanted to like end it. And now I'm like, I went on vacation. I went hiking. I would climb a mountain. Like I went to my concert that I wanted. Like I'm doing my life and I'm not a prisoner anymore. And that in itself is like the greatest gift, like to feel like I'm alive again. Yeah.
It's amazing.
For sure.
And it's only been 4 months. Just wait to what the future holds. I'm so excited for you. There's so much more to go. The body is remarkable. It's a very, as Curtis says, it's a very impressive meat suit. And it's just here to constantly work for us and to heal us. And that's what yours is doing very successfully now that we've been able to remove the thing that was keeping you down. But it's not easy, is it? Like it's a bit rigorous. It takes a lot of work on your end. I think people want a quick fix. Can you share a bit about your experience during this process, the challenges that maybe you came into?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm human. I want to resist stuff, of course. Like, oh, who wants to, like, go home and do a coffee enema, right? Yeah, and in the beginning, like, I'm the type of person, I'm very much like, I'm all in, I'm doing it. And so, like, as soon as I got the stuff, even, like, I'm like, okay, I got to do it all and really quick. And I was like, because, my lymphatic system, come to find out, and this was when I was doing on my own, I wasn't taking care of my lymphatic system. I learned a lot about that. Mine's extremely backed up. I was like doing probably extra massage work than I should have been doing and going, and more's better. And this is something that I've learned very well during these last 16 weeks that it's not better. I ended up inflaming a lymph node. It got backed up. I ended up getting what felt like the flu. I had a really high fever for like 3 or 4 days. And my lymph nodes swelled up to like the size of a golf ball and it hurt. And I'm just like, and I was like, I'm going to quit this. This sucks and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, like, come on. Like you weren't listening and that's okay. Yeah. And then like, you get parasite die-off symptoms, and sometimes you get tired, don't feel well. And then that's what like Curtis was there for. I'm like, hey, Curtis, this sucks. And he's like, well, we'll just back off. And like that was cool to have like him right there when it happened. Like, hey, like Curtis is freaking amazing. Like he's super attentive. Like I'm so grateful. I'm gonna be really sad when I leave the program. I said he's like my therapist at this point. But yeah, like, hey, we're gonna back off of this. And so like, yeah, there's stuff like that. And it's just like some days like, man, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like walking around the block and doing the massage work, you know. And like, and then that happens and that's okay because you get back on it. There was times where I'm like, I want to quit this in the beginning because, and then I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, like you're detoxing. This is good. This is actually good. Be grateful like some of the stuff is happening because you're moving stuff around that needed to be moved. So yeah, like that, those were some of the things that sucked for sure.
I think people kind of want this smooth, consistent. It really is like this. There's ups and downs and peaks and valleys, but was it worth it?
Hell yeah. That's why I said 100%. Like it's hard, but 1000% worth it any day. And like I said, I was like skeptical about this whole thing because nothing else has worked. Dude, hands down, like I'm a believer.
Cue
I'm
Smash
a believer.
Mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I want to throw the ball back to your court here, Larissa, before we start kind of winding things up and wrapping it up. Is there anything we haven't covered, anything we haven't mentioned or talked about that you want to make sure you say to anybody who's listening to this right now?
I mean, like I felt like I was hopeless, basically, and I said like I wasn't a believer in it, and I didn't think anything was gonna work. You know, I'm being punished by the gods or whatever at this point, but like. Yeah, like it works. If it worked for me, it can work for other people. I was in a pretty bad spot. And then like, I guess one of the things for me is like, oh, money and stuff. Like you guys worked with me and like what I could afford, can't afford. And I took out a credit. Like it doesn't even matter for real because like the amount of time I've lost, work I've lost, like just dumping, like it doesn't matter. Like if you're still skeptical, give it a try. Like do an intake call. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, like it works. I'm proof of that. And I actually made sure I got scopes to say, hey, look, it works.
Yeah, I don't just feel better, but it physically, it looks better. We now have the testimonial from you. You've got your scopes to prove it. Your doctor's jaw's on the floor. I really hope that stories like yours really start to change the trajectory of the way the world sees inflammatory bowel disease is no longer this innate part of your DNA, but a very fixable condition. Because the truth is, if we see this thing as being inevitable, just part of you, we start to accept the fact that, well, if I can at least mask my symptoms, I'm happy. And that's what the doctors are calling a win because this is all they know is, well, we have to mask the symptoms at best. If we can do that, that's a success. But if you understand that this can be reversed, that it's an inflammatory reaction to something, not because of bad luck or bad genetics or whatever they say it is, that we're no longer happy just masking the symptoms. We're only happy when we understand what the root is, we can name it, identify it, remove it, and watch your body heal just like yours has in as little as 4 months. I mean, there's more to go, but you're 95% of the way there in just 4 months' time, which is absolutely remarkable. I'm so proud of all the work you've done.
Yeah, like I guess that's a big thing. Like I said, like the symptoms and stuff, like, oh, the damage, once you damage it, like my stuff looks like a normal person. It says normal at the bottom of the thing. Like it looks pink and healthy. Like they're telling me before, like, you can't do that. You need to take this med to reverse the damage. Like it's reversing. Like when you say reversible, that's what's happening. Yeah. So grateful that I decided to listen to you guys and like on that Facebook group. It was so random, but it's not random because like, dude, like literally guys like saved my life, like for real.
It's amazing. Larissa, any famous last words before we wrap this up?
It's reversible. Don't listen to the doctors. I mean, you can, but like whatever they told you that you can't heal and you can't heal yourself, it's propaganda and they're indoctrinated. Do your research.
I love that unbiased research into some people who might be quacks, who might be crazy like me and Curtis. We're absolute snake oil quacky salesmen, as per Reddit anyways, but here you are living, breathing proof that is otherwise. So we're ecstatic.
Yeah, I'll go to bat for you guys.
Legend. Appreciate you.
Right.
We'll get matching gang tattoos.
Hell yeah. of my
Love
colon.
it. Of your colon. Larissa, thank you so much. Your story has been amazing. I hope this inspires somebody who's listening going, it's hopeless, there's nothing I can do. I hope this just shifts something for you to say maybe there's more to it. Even if you just listen to the podcast, jump on the YouTube channel, whatever that happens to be, there's more out there. And your doom and gloom story doesn't have to be what your doctors say it is. It can be like Larissa. It can be a story of success where you go from on the cusp of having your colon removed, your life in the toilet, damn near ruined, ready to put a TV in the bathroom because that's all you can handle, to actually living your life, going skiing and just being a human being, living the way that you deserve to live. It's absolutely incredible. Larissa, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. And yeah, we even got free stuff too to check out. Check that out.
If you're here listening today and you heard about Larissa's story and want to know how you can make this incredible transformation as well, it's not out of reach. It's not an impossibility. It can be very much in your near future. All you have to do is go down to check out the links in the show notes below. We've got all kinds of information in there on how to reach us, how to join our programs. If you do access these, we promise you we're going to work with you diligently over the course of 16 weeks to get you the health, hope, and healing that you know you deserve. Hopefully we'll see you inside.